Hello lovely viewers, thanks for stopping by. You are welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be making an overlap drape skirt. If this is what you'd love to see, sit back while I get started. These are the measurements required: our waist circumference, hip circumference, length of skirt, waist to hip measurement. For this tutorial, we'll draft out our pattern. I have created this box in which the skirt pattern will be drafted both front and back. For each of the boxes, I use a quarter of my hip circumference measurement, which is 9.5 inches. One box is for the front and the other for the back skirt. The length of the skirt is 26 inches and this is what I have measured here. But I added 2 inches on top because we'll be needing it later. Now, place the waist to hip measurement and mark it. Do the same thing on the other side. Using your ruler, connect these points together to form your hip line. Next, on this line, place a quarter of your waist circumference measurement plus 1 inch for that and mark it. This is our center front and this is our center back. From the center back also, place the same measurement and mark it. Now we are going to connect that point to the hip line using our curved ruler. I'll do the same thing for the other side. At the hemline, go in by 1 inch. For the back pattern also, go in by 1 inch and mark. Using your ruler, connect from hip line to the hemline. Do the same for the other side. Next thing is to impute the dart. I'll be using half of my nipple to nipple measurement. I'll also add a quarter of 1 inch to the front, but for the back, I'll not add anything. From this point, mark 4 inches down for the front dart. Connect points to form the center line for dart. Remember our dart is 1 inch, so I'll mark 0.5 on both sides. Then join to the end of the 4 inches line. For the back dart, go down by 5.5 inches. Place the 0.5 on each side and connect. At this point at the waistline, go up by 0.5 inch and mark. Do the same here. Connect to the waistline. Do the same for the other side. From the tip here, go in by 0.25 of an inch for both sides. Then join the 0.25 point to the center front. Then close it at the side. From the center back, go up by 0.25 of an inch, mark and connect both points together and close the side. The last thing to do is to finish up your darts, then cut out your pattern. Okay, I'm done cutting, so I'll just write center front here and center back here. This is our front pattern. I'm going to use this other pattern to create the overlap drape using the slash and spread method. Place the new paper on fold, then put your front pattern on it, making sure both center folds align. Trace out the pattern, then mark the dart points. Draw out the hip line, then draw your dart. Now it's time to cut out your pattern. Then using a tracing wheel or any method of your choice, trace out the dart so it appears on the other half of the skirt. Draw it out and draw the hip line. The next thing to do is to draw the curve for the overlap part of the skirt, starting from any point you like. I'll just use my marker to highlight very well so that the curve can be more visible. The freehand didn't do much justice to the curve, so I'll be using the curve ruler to get sharper lines. Now that I'm done with the curve, I'll be taking out the dart. The length of the dart is 4 inches, so measure 4 inches here and mark it. Then from the top, mark out 1 inch, which is the width of the dart, and connect these points together. Blend it. Then do the same for the other side. Blend properly so that you don't have any pointed edges. So we don't need these darts anymore. The next thing is to cut out the dart and the curve. It is time for the slash and spread, but first we are going to measure what we want to drape on both sides. It is up to you to decide what you want. I'll be marking out 5 points on this side and on the other side. On this side, each point is an inch wide. These points are going to be slashed into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. On the other side, I'm also going to be marking 5 points. But this time, the width will be wider. So I'll be measuring out 15 inches, which will be divided by 5, giving us 3. So the width on this side is going to be 3 inches. So I'll mark 3 inches here until I get to the 15 inches point we earlier marked. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well on this side. Now we are going to connect each of the points at the opposite sides together, starting with the first point on each side. Move to the next one until you are done with all the 5. Okay, so this is what we have. The drape is going to be around this section. We are now going to slash each of the line, but not completely. We will stop about this point. The paper we just slashed is going to be transferred onto this brown paper. You can use any paper of your choice. While placing it, we are going to spread it out, then use gum to stick it onto the brown paper. The distance between them should be about 3.5 inches. So this is our 3.5 inches mark. Now that we are done sticking it, add the seam allowances all round. This is the top of the skirt. You can see our dart. So up here, mark half an inch for the allowance that we'll use to join the band. Add 1 inch here for your side seam allowance. On this curved side too, we're going to be adding an inch. So just make your marks. Then join the points together. So now you are going to fold over the one on top till it meets with the next one, just like I am demonstrating it. Make sure you align them very well until you are done with all of them. Okay guys, so you see what we have right now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'll use my tracing wheel to follow this line, okay? So okay, so this is what we have. In the meantime, I'll complete the curl. Okay, so we've added all our allowances. So I'll just open this up right now, and I'm going to follow the markings, okay? So you're going to follow the markings of the tracing wheel. Okay guys, so this is what we have right now. The next thing to do is to cut it out. It's now time to transfer the patterns onto fabric. This is 2 yards of Duchess fabric. This is what I'll be using to make my skirt. So open up your fabric, place some fold, and lay your front pattern on it, making sure that both folds on pattern and fabric align together. Then pin it down. Add 1 inch here for your side seam allowance. Then add 1 inch also for the hem allowance. So this is 1 inch, but we're going to add half an inch at the waistline. After that, connect all your markings together and cut your fabric out. Next, fold your fabric again and place the back pattern over it and pin it down. At the waistline, add half an inch for allowance. Then 1.5 inches at this side for the zipper allowance. Then 1 inch for both hem and side seam allowances. When you are through marking, join the points together and cut out your fabric. To cut out your lining, just repeat this process, or better still, each of the cut out fabric, place it on your lining and cut them out. After cutting out both fabric and lining, the next thing is to transfer your darts, just the way I'm doing it. Extend the dart legs with your chalk, then snip it with your scissors. Using your pin or thumbtack, pin it at the point. Then lift up your fabric and mark all 4 points. Connect all the markings to form the dart, then take to the machine for stitching. Repeat this process for both front and back lining and fabric. This is my front and back lining. I'll trim out 1 inch from it because the lining is supposed to be shorter than the main fabric. I've taken in all my darts. Now for the back skirt, I'll create both the slit and zipper opening. I'll just mark 8 inches for the slit at the back and then 8 inches also for the zipper. Do so for the lining too. On the point, mark 1.5 inches inwards, which is the zipper allowance. Connect both points together. Then go and sew it down. This is the back of the skirt. I have stitched it, and this is the slit and zipper opening. Next is to attach a zipper and sew a slanted stitch here. I'll be working on the slash and spread pattern now. Place your fabric on the table. The fabric will not be placed on fold, okay? So make sure the right side of the fabric is facing you. Now I want to correct something. When I was folding it earlier, I did it this way. The one on top folding over to meet the one below. But I noticed an excess at this side. You can see it. And this is not supposed to be. So now I will just fold it in the other way around. Folding so that the bottom one folds to touch the one above it. See what I'm doing? You can see we have an excess at this side, so just trim it off. Now spread out your pattern properly and pin all round. After that, cut out your fabric. Okay guys, we can now begin folding the pattern. Make sure you have used enough pins to attach the fabric very close to the pattern, okay? Now let's begin folding. Grab the pattern, making sure you have grabbed the fabric to it, and begin folding in this direction. Pin as you go along, but be careful of the pins so that they don't injure your hands. Adjust to make sure everything is fine. Then you can flip it over to see what it looks like at the back and if everything is okay. So this is good enough, so I'll just flip it back and remove the pins. All the pins on this side have been removed. We're going to remove the ones on this side. After all the pins have been removed, use one hand to secure the folds, then the other to lift up the pattern gently. Then using one hand, hold down the fabric while you use the other hand to slide it gently to the other side. At this point, you can see the folds here. So just use your pins to secure it properly and slide out the entire pattern. See how beautifully it came out. This is the right side facing up and this is the wrong side. Now take your fabric to the machine to stitch this side in place. This is it. I've stitched it by 1/4 inch. So the next thing we're going to do is to cut out the lining. I have my lining fabric here. So just place it flat. Don't put it on fold. After you've laid it flat, then place your pattern over it, making sure you do not spread the pattern. Okay, keep it close just as I'm doing here. So you pin it down, then you cut out your lining. Spread out the overlap on the table and place the lining over it. Then go and stitch only this curved side by 1 inch. I'm done with the curve, so after that, turn it to the right side and top stitch on it. Then stitch this side seam by 1/4 inch to close it up and keep it in place. I've stitched it on this side, so grab the front piece of the skirt and lay it down. Then place the overlap on it. Use pins to secure the lining and fabric so it aligns together. Now we'll take it to the machine to run our stitch on the waistline. This is the back of the skirt. The right side is facing up. Then place the front part of the skirt over it. Arrange it very well. Then take to the machine and stitch it by 1 inch at both sides of the seam allowance. I have both front and back lining. This is the zipper allowance and this is the slit. Take this edge in and stitch it all the way. Do the same for the other side. Then flip the back lining, right side facing up. Then place the front lining over it and stitch at the side seams by 1 inch. This is the lining. I've closed both side seams and folded it at the center back. Then I have gone ahead to hem it also. We are now going to attach both skirt and lining together. So put the skirt into the lining, making sure the wrong side of the lining and the fabric are facing each other. Pin both at the waistline. Then you take it to your machine and stitch it by 1/2 inch. I have gone ahead to cut out the band. Just measure the waistline like this and multiply it by 2. This is 14.5 inches, by 2 is 29 inches, then add an extra 1.5 inches to it. So I have 30.5 inches here for the length and 4 inches for the width. I've gone ahead to iron the gum stay on the wrong side. Now fold into 2 and iron out. I've gone ahead to fold 1/2 inch at one side and I've ironed it out also. Before attaching to the skirt, fold into half, right sides facing each other, then stitch both ends to close it, okay? Snip it at the corners on both sides and turn it over to the right side. Now you will attach the band to the skirt. To attach the band to the skirt, what you do is you pin the longer side of the band, the one not folded in, and attach to the waistline all round. Starting from the zipper all round to the other zipper, pinning it down as you go. After stitching it all round, the next thing you're going to do is to push it in this way. Put in the waistline into the band, fold over and top stitch it. Make sure you top stitch very close to the edge of the band. I'm done with the band and everything is looking great. This is what it looks like so far, and this is the excess at the band for either your buttonhole or hook. Okay, so everything is looking neat. All you have to do is give it a good press. The last thing is to take in 1 inch at the hem using needle and thread. But it's best to iron it out first before taking it in to give it a very neat finish. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and above all, I hope it was very useful. You can use this same method to achieve various styles of this kind of draped overlap skirt. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share to family and friends, leave your comments on how it went for you, and above all guys, subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.